Hello everybody, welcome to your Sunday hot takes after round 18 in the Championship. We do still have Derby to play, Sheffield Wednesday this afternoon, but fear not, I know what I want to say already as my hot take, and that is that defences are dominating in the EFL Championship this season. There's lots of kind of cliches and sayings, that maybe they're cliches because they're true, about goals winning your games and defences winning your tournaments or indeed titles. Well, if we're going to have a look up at the top of the EFL Championship, then it is defences on top. Yes, of course, in every league, the higher you get up the table, the fewer goals conceded. But it's very extreme up at the top of the Championship. And I think even the most staunch Sheffield United and Burnley fans will admit it's their defences, their goalkeepers as well, that have put them up at the top of the table. We've heard both managers, Chris Wilder and Scott Parker, say about the chaos of relegation and players coming in and out and teams having to be built quickly. Well, both managers have very much leaned into the principle of being hard to beat and are conceding very, very few goals. Let's start with leaders Sheffield United, who I caught on the watch-along against Sunderland on Friday night. They won 1-0, and if ever I needed a case study to kind of prove my point that its defence is on top, it was this game indeed. Obviously, a penalty save from Mike Cooper, who has been amazing in goal for Sheffield United. He hasn't actually conceded a goal at Bramall Lane for Sheffield United this season, the new Blades keeper. It was 10 against 10 with a couple of red cards, and it was all about being robust, being hard to beat, being durable, and then sneaking a goal. And that's exactly what Sheffield United did. I'm not saying Sheffield United are without their quality, Harmer and O'Hare, Raksaki in recent weeks as well. Particularly in the Oxford game, I think they really did kind of shine. But it's very, very much built on. And I know Suter and Ahmedhodzic have both had red cards recently. But those two, very good centre-backs for this level. Cooper in goal and Sousa in front of them is excellent. It's built on being hard to play against, hard to beat. 9 goals conceded in 18 games. So Sheffield United are conceding a goal every second game. 12 clean sheets in 18 games. So 2 out of every 3 games is a clean sheet. It's looking very, very good for Sheffield United. Are they free-flowing? Mega football, blitzing everybody? Remember the old overlapping centre-backs and Duffy off Sharp and whoever it was up front with him at the top from a few years ago? Well, it's not like that. No, but they're top of the table despite a 2-point deduction and bloody hard to play against and bloody hard to score against. As are Burnley, even more so, ridiculously. Burnley are on for all kinds of records here. 6 goals conceded in 18 games. Both Sheffield United and Burnley this week. 9 points in the 3-game week. Just not conceding any goals, are they? So Burnley, 6 conceded in 18 is 0.3 per game. Also, 12 clean sheets for Burnley. Exactly the same as Sheffield United in that regard. And 2 conceded in 12 games is just absolutely outrageous. They've gone to Stoke this weekend, nabbed it 2-0, I think, with sort of second half goals doing the business. And it's experienced players, isn't it? It's Jay Rodriguez, it's Josh Brownhill, Connor Roberts, etc., etc. And they do have the quality, the star power, maybe in defence with Esteve and Egan Riley and the very expensive Trafford in goal, who I think Burnley fans were probably worried was a bit of a white elephant that they would need to sell. But he is banging out the clean sheets like nobody's business. Well, like Michael Cooper's business over at Sheffield United. But again, Scott Parker has said, I've just listened to his post-match researching this video. He's spoken about the team being built on, you know, the values of the players rather than the pattern of play. Because frankly, they've had loads of players out, loads of players in, and they haven't had time to build the team. And maybe that is the explanation why that you got 2 year 1 parachute teams at the top there with quality players, and it's the individuals and that ethic and that being hard to beat that is doing the damage at the moment. It is Sheffield United and Burnley top. Just a 1-point gap they have got. But the defence and being in single figures for goals conceded going into round 19, both of them, is sensational. When I click that button there and Leeds and Sunderland appear, I guess you expect me to go, now you see defences are on top and there's a drop-off defensively to these two. There really is not, because Leeds and Sunderland have only conceded 13 goals this season in 18 rounds, which is also sensational. Just as a little reference point, Ipswich and Southampton, both promoted last season, at this stage had conceded 24 Ipswich and 27 Southampton. I think that shows you the difference between last season and this season. And I'm going to move on and talk about a couple of teams maybe in the playoffs and in the middle of the table that are also riding this trend of draws and clean sheets and maybe being hard to beat as the way forward this season. And again, I repeat, as if being hard to beat isn't ever going to go out of fashion in football. But Leeds and Sunderland are very good defensive sides. Obviously, they've both had defeats this weekend and kind of dropped behind Sheffield United and Burnley as that particular top two. Sunderland we'll get onto in a minute. Obviously, they had the defeat at Sheffield United and are on a winless run with loads of draws and a few nil-nils in there as well. Leeds had one back-to-back, but went under at Blackburn. Another side who John Eustace, when we interviewed him on this very channel, said his education and his philosophy is first and foremost to set a team up to be hard to beat, hard to play against. And Leeds struggled at Blackburn. I wonder, Leeds fans, talk to me about this, because at home, Leeds are pretty I think they've conceded like 1 in 6 at home. And I think it's just that freak of a game against Portsmouth on the opening day when he drew 3-3. And that's the majority of they conceded 5 at home. And 3 of them came in that one game, which, draw it on a graph, looks like a pretty massive bloody outlier, doesn't it? Leeds away from home, less clean sheety, less solid. So that may, at the moment, be the difference, because Leeds are scoring a lot of goals, 6 more than Sheffield United, 8 more than Burnley. We'll talk about the teams that are what I would say attacking goalie teams as opposed to defensive-minded teams. You want to get the balance right. You do think maybe Leeds have more in attack than Burnley and Sheffield United, but they've got to get that balance right. And if those top two are just not going to be conceding for the majority of the season, they may be hard to get past. It's incumbent on Leeds to get that balance correct. I think they've got it in their locker to do it better than anyone. And look, we could go forward a few more games and I'll change my tune and Leeds will be up at the top and it won't be all about defences. But right now, I'm telling you, it is. Sunderland, I find a bit more of a defensive side than Leeds. Often you see them link up. We did a game, Sunderland versus Middlesbrough, early in the season. A couple of banks of 4, sit in nicely, nick a goal, win the game. Very solid without the ball and a good smattering of individual quality. The dribbly wingers, Roberts and Watson and the likes of Bellingham and Rigonaire, Isidore, a good striker as well. But they're not winning games. They're not scoring goals at the moment, Sunderland. They do, however, match up with Leeds. Both of these sides, 0.7 goals conceded per game. If that is under 1, you are looking good. That means, on average, a team scores under 1 goal against you. You know, which I know goals are scored in binaries and you don't score 0.7 goals. But you take my point. If teams aren't scoring 1 goal against you, it's very hard for them to beat you on average. 10 clean sheets for both of those sides as well. So this is not a case of, oh, the top 2 are very good defensively and the next 2 aren't. The top 2 are extremely good defensively and the next 2 are very good defensively. It's very, very much like that. And I'm casting my mind back, particularly to Ipswich and Southampton and Leeds as well last season. This is a different Leeds. It's not the thrill of Ruddock and Somerville. And, you know, I think there was one point where all of the front 4 were, you know, banging out 10 to 15 goal contributions, probably at this time of the season already, with Piru in there as well. I'm trying to think who the front 4 would have been for Leeds last season. No, obviously Aronson has come in this season, but it feels a little bit more balanced and less kind of thrilling. But by all means, they are not bad defensive sides. And obviously Daniel Farke's sides have always been able to keep their goals conceded down by controlling games, whereas Sunderland maybe have that more kind of stiff defensive side to them. Anyway, that's the top 4. Let me just move on. I'm just going to pick out 3 other teams. Obviously, we've mentioned Blackburn, who did beat Leeds today. Blackburn have kind of been a bit stripy, haven't they? Where they had a really good run, then a bit of a rubbishy run. They've now won 3 on the trot again. I bring Blackburn up because they've only conceded 17 goals in 17 games. So again, this is a team that doesn't on average concede more than a goal a game. It's noughts and ones on average. And I think once you get a trend in a division where the majority of sides are kind of this way inclined, then it does very quickly move everybody into that way. And the kind of, if you can't beat them, join them. Because to beat them, you have to be really good in the other direction. And there are 2 teams I want to pick out that might be able to buck the trend here. But Blackburn just on the edges of the playoffs with a game in hand. They're hard to beat. They're hard to score against, which would be the same we would say for Millwall as well. I haven't mentioned West Brom. I should mention West Brom in this. West Brom are the kind of poster boys this season for drawing, basically. 9 draws in 10, West Brom. Yeah, I've got the notes down, actually. 12 conceded. 5 0-0s in there as well. Do you see what I mean about a kind of movement in being hard to beat? More and more teams are kind of filling that sort of category. Millwall have been one of them as well. They're like Swansea with only 17 conceded, so 1 per game. And Millwall, since Tanganga, basically, they've got a star at centre-back there, haven't they? Came into the team. 15 in a row now. Millwall under 1.5 goals. And I forget which manager saying in the past, look, if you can't get clean sheets, get noughts and ones. Don't concede more than a goal and you will be very hard to beat through a season. 15 in a row for Millwall. And remember, they had that run of 1-0 wins as well. Millwall have beaten both Burnley and Leeds 1-0 already this season. And they join my pack of teams of defences dominating. Swansea is a bit of a weird one because we really had them pegged as low scoring all the time. And now all of a sudden this week, both teams to score in all 3 of their games and a 4-3 defeat against Leeds and a 2-2 draw today. So it swung a little bit for Swansea. Having said that, we talked about Millwall doing the last 15 games as under 1.5. Swansea, first 15 in a row under 1.5. So they very much also fit into that category. Which is why I want to probably bring up the likes of Norwich and Middlesbrough, really. Norwich, are they top scorers in the league? They are indeed. 35 with Borehart Science in red-hot form. Middlesbrough have been the poster boys for making loads of big chances, having a massively high XG. And it feels very much like Michael Carrick, Johannes Hoff-Torp. And Leeds aren't far off this, are they? Only 1 goal fewer scored from Leeds than Middlesbrough. I wonder which side of the culture battle Leeds are going to fall on. Because Middlesbrough are definitely going to be attacking. And they're going to have some stupid games where they just lose them 1-0 against a low block. And they're going to have periods like they have had where we've had a 4, a 5, a 6 and now a 3 today where they're just smashing the goals in. Norwich, exactly the same. They had a 6 in midweek and a 4 today. They're not going to change, whereas you'd imagine Leeds will try and maintain a balance and try and get the best of both worlds, which if you can, you know you're sorted. Then I always remember George Graham, accused of being a very defensive Arsenal manager, would always point out that the 2 years they won the title, while he was manager, they were actually the top scorers as well. If you can do it, both ends, both boxes, you are looking lovely. Let me know your thoughts on my thesis. If you want to come up with any better numbers than I have, then please do go ahead. But right here, right now, I don't know whether it's just winter. I don't know whether it's 3 game weeks. I don't know whether it's the parachute teams struggling to get a pattern of play in straight away and having to be a bit more defensive. Is it managers? Is it Corberon and Harris and Williams, those other guys that we've mentioned in there, joining the clan? Or were they going to be like that anyway? Are Sheffield United and Burnley going to double down on being mighty, mighty, mighty hard to score against? I don't know. You tell me. It could change past Christmas into the spring. We could get goal heavy all the time. But right here, right now, I think defences are dominating the Championship. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. We'll be back with Sam Parkin on the channel tomorrow for the Championship check-in, and we'll do a bit more of a kind of full roundup, and any teams we haven't mentioned will definitely get mentioned there. So do wait for that. But I just wanted to go with that theory today about defences. And it's over to you now. I'm eager to get your comments on Sunday's hot take defences dominating the Championship.